welcome to the Pearl and the Echo podcast. I'm here with Dori, as always. We really hope you enjoy what we do. Please feel free to subscribe and comment on what we're doing and send us messages. That would be amazing. We're going to start, as we always do, with our 3 deep breaths, just to bring everyone here now to the moment. So whenever you're ready, slow down, feel yourself here, and let's have those 3 deep breaths, one at a time. Notice what it's actually doing in your body. Let's be as mindful as possible. Number 2. And let's make the last one really count. Okay. Dori, whenever you're ready, take it away.
Okay. Today's quote is by Brené Brown. She is an American academic, author, podcaster. She's a vulnerability, courage, shame, and empathy researcher. And she's got a bunch of books that my therapist has told me to read. I've read some of them. They're really good. I do recommend. The quote is, daring to set boundaries is about having the courage to love ourselves even when we risk disappointing others. I'm going to read it twice because it's a meaty quote. There's a lot in there. Daring to set boundaries is about having the courage to love ourselves even when we risk disappointing others. So boundaries. I've been looking at things about boundaries lately because it's important work, and it's work that I don't think I've ever really done properly. I've tried many times to set boundaries and failed because it's not really something that we are taught in school, perhaps by our parents or our families or our friends. And some people have great boundaries, but I'm not one of those people. And so, so I thought we can talk about that. Maybe the audience can give us some advice. I don't know. But for me, lately, I've been trying to get better at it. And I found some information online about boundaries, that are all the myths that we have about boundaries, that if you set a boundary, it means you're a mean person, that people will not like you, that things are going to just go awry if you do that. And none of that is true. I think it's really easy for all of us, especially women, femme presenting folks, to people please and to fall into, okay, well, let me give everything that I have and forget about my needs. I'm just going to listen to what your needs are and I'm going to match that. And that's what we're going to do. And so what I really like about what Brené Brown is saying is that it's really all about having the courage to love ourselves. And as I've been reading about boundary work, it talks about being brave enough, having enough courage to let people see the real you. Because the real you has these preferences, these desires, these needs, and really these boundaries that if you're not communicating them, then people won't really know who you are. And those are the things that make you you and make you beautiful and wonderful and unique. And the people in your life that care about you want to know what those things are. You know, if it's as simple as not liking anchovies on your pizza, it's just like that seems like an easy thing to set a boundary around. But when it comes to, hey, I can only hang out in this way once or twice a month, and then beyond that, it becomes overwhelming for me, then it's different because there's people's feelings involved. There's scenarios that you have to operate and manage through. So it's hard because then, as the quote says, we risk disappointing others. But do we really? Like, we don't, right? I think if we're not disappointing others, then we're disappointing ourselves. And so is it worth the risk? 100%. You have to take that risk. And I think the people in your life who get it and understand you and want to honor your experience and your feelings and what makes you feel comfortable, you know, they're going to be fine with it. Like, they're not going to be disappointed. They're not going to run away. But in the moment, right, like our nervous system is like, no, 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 no. And my inner child is like, absolutely not. Like, nope. We are just going to operate in this way to
Yeah.
make sure that everyone likes us and then go from there. I'm
Yeah.
revealing a lot today, Jim. What do you think?
No, it's good because when you're in that kind of vulnerable place and then you start talking about things like boundaries, which is a really difficult subject, we got to go into it with the honesty. I mean, I like it. It is really difficult to put up boundaries, which is kind of why I don't like doing it. I kind of like going in a different direction, which is to build myself because it doesn't always work. The difficult, annoying people who love testing boundaries and pushing you and trying to get what they want and harassing you and manipulating you and using you, those are the ones we really need the kind of proper boundaries for. But those are the moments when you don't need boundaries. What you need is self-respect and taking care of yourself. Let's say you do karate and you have a black belt, right? So
Hmm.
I come in and I see you've got your karate outfit on and a black belt, and I'm like, I don't mess with her because she's the dude, right? Dory's the dude. She's got a black belt. I don't
I
have a
love
belt.
this scenario. Keep
Or
keep
I've got
talking.
or I've got one of the other belts. That's the one that means you're the dude. So cool. So you don't even need to tell me about your boundaries. I can feel and I can see that you're solid in yourself and you do your work and you're not to be messed with. That's like an essence or an energy thing. Like the little ones between friends where you kind of say, oh, I'm really sorry, but I can't hang out today. Or, well, if that person is your friend, those kind of smaller boundaries, of course, it's important. But again, if you're not taking care of yourself, that person, they can tell that you're not respecting yourself. And if they're nice, they'll do something about it. And if they're not nice, they'll just walk all over you. So again, for me, the thing with boundaries, because I've spent years trying to do the boundaries thing and it's exhausting and it doesn't really work. And when I'm doing it, I kind of feel like I'm pushing this, I'm forcing a thing that is not a sustainable system.
Yeah.
What I prefer to do is spend every day encouraging myself, finding encouraging things, building hope inside myself, being strong, dealing with my stuff, building the black belt so that that person doesn't even bother in the first place because they can feel like there's a lion in the room. You're like, hold on a minute, there's a lion here. We got to be careful. But if there's a little cockapoo, well, we want to just go and do whatever we want and stroke it and it doesn't get a choice, you know? So for me, the boundaries things, it sounds like a really nice idea, and I get it. And I love Brené Brown as well. She's awesome. You know,
Yeah.
Dare to Lead is brilliant.
Yes.
But I've tried that for so many times, so many years, and it just exhausts me.
Yeah.
And that person knows that I'm putting up a boundary that isn't really real anyway.
Mm.
And they know that, all right, maybe today they can't cross the line, but they'll just do it tomorrow or the next day, or when I'm in a not so strong
Mm.
frame of mind or heart in a week, and they'll just do whatever they want then instead.
Yeah.
That's where it takes me.
Yeah. I like that. Maybe that's what's missing for me. And it's funny because I think there's plenty of people in my life who will perceive me in that way of being strong and within my power, or standing in my power. It is a feeling, it is an energy for sure. And it starts with us, right? Putting up boundaries feels very me versus you, like we're putting up a wall. I think it goes back to what we talk about when we do our force field power station meditation, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, am I putting up this energetic shield so that I can operate, or am I projecting so much personal power and self-respect, like you said, and just this staunch self-belief and assurance in oneself out there that you don't need the boundary. You don't need to build anything up because
Yeah.
you're so strong on your own that you don't need that extra thing. And in a way, those two things are the same thing, right? It's just you're putting them up or you're making them two different ways, right? The approach is different and it
Yeah.
feels different. And so I'm really curious because I know I'm not the only one that struggles with this. I'm really curious to hear from our audience about what they've tried, because to me, when I verbally try and set a boundary, often what I'll say is, this is what I need right now, but it could change, right? Like I leave this door open because in reality, it could, right? Everything is changing all the time. But then I wonder about whether that's just me not really putting the boundary up at all.
Yeah. So let's say you get out of the bed on the right side and everything's just nice and you've got energy and you feel good and you just have that feeling when you're just happy those days where you wake up, it's just like yeah,
Hmm.
this is already a good day. And you go out of the door and you naturally put up boundaries just because of the way you're feeling, because you just
Yeah.
feel good. And so they're like the person driving honks their horn or they cut you up or whatever. And you'll just say, yeah, I really just don't care. And that energy gets transmitted to that person who gets more annoyed or whatever. But then there are the times when you get out of bed on the wrong side and you're just tired and everything's affecting you. And then you walk out of the house and something happens. And the boundary putting is not natural because you're not internally strong, or you're just not present because you're busy in the problems of the fact that you feel crap today. And the thing with the force field power station is when you continuously feel like you've got to put up a boundary, the you behind the boundary is damageable in some way, which is why we need to put up a big fence, because you're going to attack me and I'm kind of defenseless and I can't defend myself, so I need a fence or I need a wall or I need a boundary, right? So if they already know, if you're putting up a boundary, that you're in a weak state of mind, it's kind of like, instead of going all the way down that road to those problems, why don't we just spend each day really just taking care of ourselves and knowing that on those days when you're just feeling awful, well, you don't even go there, you don't even start having a conversation with that person, because it's where it's going to go.
Yeah, and I've definitely done that. There's definitely times when I know I have a phone call to make and I can't do it that day. It's not happening. I know it's just going to make me feel worse. So I don't do it because that's where I am. And we have to honor that. What it's making me think about, if I can link up some concepts that you and I have talked about probably here and elsewhere, is this idea of the little me and the higher self, the big me, without the ego, that version of us that is working towards our highest good and the highest good of everyone around us. I really think that's what this is about when we talk about boundaries, because when you're operating from ego or from a scared inner child, or a part of you that's been hurt too many times, or a part of you that's had their boundaries crossed too many times, then yes, that part of you is going to want to put up a force field or a boundary or a wall. The big part of you that we all have, that we're all capable of cultivating, that higher self, that community-oriented self that honors the self, but then looks at the larger whole and tries to not only better yourself, but better those around you and support everyone, right? Like fill your cup first and then let it kind of overflow to the betterment of those around you. That is the power station, right? That is the strength. That is this courage to love ourselves that Brené Brown is talking about, where we've recognized that maybe there's this part of me that needs a force field, and that's okay. But there's also this bigger part that can project this confidence, this love, this care, and this self-respect out in the world in a way that makes it a little bit easier to operate and easier to engage with others, but also with yourself, right? With all the different parts of yourself.
Yeah. I mean, they're all the different parts of yourself, so we go to the words like inner child, but, the child is naturally smaller than an adult and more fragile and more vulnerable. And so that's why we use the word inner child. So we go to these images that are naturally
Yeah.
vulnerable or fragile.
And kind of like disempowering, right? Like, why does the inner child have to be scared? Like, they probably have all sorts of superpowers and strengths
Yeah,
that I need and want
yeah,
to
exactly.
embody, right?
Well, why can't it be the inner black belt guy or person? Why do we have to go to the fragile me, and then we identify with the fragile me, and then that's what we project. And then, of course, it's people are going to take advantage of that because they've been trained to take advantage of that, because that's what a capitalist society is about, owning stuff. So you've got stuff and I want it, I'll own your stuff and I'll take it from you, whether it's money or whatever. I think just by the very nature with which we talk to ourselves or treat ourselves or look at ourselves is a big part of the problem. And then she says, risking to disappoint other people. I mean, I really genuinely don't want to disappoint other people, but like you say, that then I disappoint myself. Or maybe no one gets disappointed because I'm just doing black belt Jim, and whatever you're doing is whatever you're doing. And if that works, brilliant. But I'm not attacking you. I'm just saying I'm here and I'm solid and I've done the work today of getting myself solid. And maybe you're there, maybe you're not. And it's not for me to take advantage of you. It's for me to go, Okay, well, today I'm going out of the front door and I'm not disappointed in myself because I've done the work. And of course, we all get caught out, and there's always that kind of silver tongued snake type person who's going to come and trip you up and knock you off your center. But you've got to know that that's the case and get used to that and assume that's going to happen and not get annoyed with people because they're like that, because that's human nature and that's how human civilization works. But kind of work with it and go, okay, you got me. Brilliant. So that means if you got me, I'm not standing in a strong place. I'm doing inner child, or I'm doing weak little Jim, or I'm doing the Jim that gets triggered by this thing because he got triggered by this thing 30 years ago and he's still getting triggered by this thing because he's weak. Or I do black belt Jim and I see the triggers and they're still there, but I'm not referring to them.
This is exactly what I've been saying lately, is that I used to think every time I was triggered by something that I would get upset because I would be like, oh, I thought I fixed this thing about myself, but it's getting triggered again. And I've learned that it's really not about not being triggered. You're always going to be triggered. It's
Yeah.
about looking at that thing through all of these different lenses, and it's going to be with you potentially your whole life until you start seeing it as a learning opportunity. It sounds cheesy, but I think that's what it is, right? Every time you're
Yeah.
triggered and you know exactly where it's coming from, it's an opportunity to say, okay, another scenario where this kind of thing comes up. Okay, what can I learn from this? And then what do I need to give myself to continue to move forward? Let me give it again.
Yeah, please do.
From Brené Brown, daring to set boundaries is about having the courage to love ourselves, even when we risk disappointing others.
Wow, thank you. Thank you so much, Dory. That was a brilliant one. I'm sure there'll be more Brené Brown coming very soon. Magnificent.
Worse.
Yeah. And thank you, everyone. Please feel free to subscribe, send us comments. We love doing this and we hope that you love what we do. Have a beautiful day.
Thank you for listening to the Pearl and the Echo podcast with me, Dori Sim, and my co-host, Jim Rajan. Thank you to Rebel Mixtape Productions for editing this episode. If you like what you heard, like, subscribe, and share with those in your life that matter most.